How much is your endurance training preventing you from gaining muscle? Here's the answer.
Our first caller is Alex from Indiana.
Alex, what's happening?
How's it going?
Good. How can we help you?
Cool to talk to you guys. Okay. So I've got kind of a general question, and then I'll give you some background as to why I'm asking for me. So what is happening if someone is building strength consistently, but not really putting on a whole lot of muscle mass? And for me in particular, I'm wondering if part of it is my family. We're a small people. My parents are very small too. And then I also have like a 15-year history of really heavy endurance training. So like marathons, ultra marathons, and things like that.
Okay. So
a couple things.
So there's a lot of factors that play into strength. There's the size of the muscle fiber. Strength is also a skill. So there could be improvements in skill, improvements in how muscles are working together. There could be energy production. Like you could take caffeine and you'll be a little stronger. You could take creatine, increase ATP, get a little stronger. You get more central nervous system output. So there's a lot of things that contribute to strength that have nothing to do with muscle fiber size. Also, sometimes people gain muscle and lose a little body fat and they can't really tell. So they think that they haven't gained anything. Nonetheless, if you continue to get stronger, you can almost always guarantee that muscle fiber size increases will follow. So that's always going to happen. But when it comes to strength, strength is so many different things, not just muscle. In fact, on the flip side, you can get bigger muscle fibers and actually be less strong. And you see this with bodybuilders versus strength athletes like powerlifters. Or when a powerlifter switches to bodybuilding, for example, they'll often get bigger but lose a little bit of strength because they're training for muscle fiber size less than the other things that I mentioned.
The most common answer is that you are just not eating enough calories to put actually weight and size on, but you are improving your skill at the exercises and your CNS is getting better. And so you're seeing that translate into more weight on the bar, but you're not seeing more size on your body because we're just not getting enough calories.
Yeah.
So
your output's a little louder.
So yeah, that's the most common answer. This is not uncommon. This has happened many times with clients of mine. And normally it's just, we simply are not eating in a surplus enough to actually put size and weight on, but we're getting stronger and you're getting stronger because you're getting better at the skills that you're doing in the gym.
Yeah, oftentimes with a client, Alex, I would train somebody and we would see strength gain, and then all of a sudden, boom, muscle size would pop on their body. So at some point, you'll see muscle. But also, how much stronger are you? You're talking about being stronger. Like what are we looking at in terms of your lifts and your training? Or is it nominal or is it a big change?
It's pretty big. I mean, like I said, I shifted from like ultra endurance training, so primarily just running, just cycling, switched over to almost exclusively strength training. And so in the past year, like my deadlift, for example, has gone from 145 to 225. My squat went from back squat went from about 125 to 175. So it pretty significant, but for someone my size, maybe that's, maybe I just need to be putting more calories in to see the muscle mass.
Yeah. What does that look like? Your calorie intake?
So I just started tracking about 2 weeks ago, and I'm 5'8", about 150 pounds. And I would say it's about 2,800 to 3,200 now that I'm tracking and really trying to shovel food in. I mean, I know when I was endurance training, I know now that I'm tracking, I was under eating for probably a decade plus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's also the possibility that you're having a very nice exchange too. So where maybe sometimes you're a little bit in a surplus, other times you're a little bit in a deficit. So you are building muscle, you are getting stronger, but then you're also kind of leaning out too. So how do you feel? Like, are you happy with the way you look? Do you want to be bigger? And do you feel like you're kind of getting leaner too? Like tell me.
Yeah. Have you gained any muscle? Are you tracking this?
Yeah, I'm not tracking as far as I haven't been taking pictures. I'm not measuring
Body
like my
fat.
biceps or my legs or anything. It's really just how I look in the mirror. I definitely would say I'm leaning out a
Oh,
bit.
that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, you got a nice exchange going on.
Yeah.
That's what's happening is you're building muscle, but you're also leaning out. And it goes back to the calories, which means you probably have a couple days where you're like, man, I hit my good calorie intake. And then you have a couple days where you're like, ah, shit, I didn't get enough calories. So you lean out on the low calorie days. And so you lose a little bit of body fat. The days you're in a surplus and training good, you're adding a little bit of muscle. And then what it's looking like in the mirror for you is you don't feel like you're getting bigger or more muscle because you're not getting bigger in size, but you're getting leaner. I would make the case you're actually in a really good place. But if you want more size, then just simply adding more calories or reducing. I don't know what your activity looks like outside of the gym if you're a really active guy still.
You know, here's the other thing too. The strength gains that you listed are not, I wouldn't expect a lot of muscle from those strength gains considering you went from ultra endurance training to strength training. So that's expected. I would expect to see somebody who does pure endurance training to go to strength training and gain 60 pounds on their deadlift or squat. I would expect that. And I wouldn't see a lot of muscle from that. I would see like 4 pounds or 5 pounds of lean body mass. Now at this point, pushing the calories, continue to strength train, you're going to see more muscle gains. Yeah. You're going to see more
It'll
size.
Start shifting for sure.
Yeah, and if your weight has stayed the same, but you've lost some body fat or you look leaner, you've definitely gained muscle and burned body fat. So it's probably like 4 to 4. You probably gained 4 pounds of lean body mass and lost 4 pounds of body fat or something along those lines.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and then along those lines, I'm also wondering because I still love to run and cycle, but I'm almost afraid to go back to, running or cycling too much and then affect my strength training. So is there like a ratio? I mean, I'm really just, I'm probably doing full body lifting 3 to 4 days a week, and then maybe running and biking 2 or 3 days a week. And I try to keep it under 60 minutes.
Yeah. Well, look,
but here's the challenge though.
You love it.
Yeah.
I mean, you love it. So I don't think it's worth a few extra pounds of muscle if you really enjoy and love doing it.
It's also here's a good experiment to do with yourself because, and this is always a challenging predicament that we get in when we're advising or coaching people. Like I never want to tell somebody like, hey, you like running and it's good for you, it's healthy, stop doing it. But you also are having this challenge with putting weight and size on. So if I was coach, you were my client and you were expressing that to me, I'd say, hey, you know what? The next month I don't want you doing any of that stuff. Let's just see what happens when we completely reduce that and see if you're happy with the size you see coming on. And then afterwards, if you're like, man, Adam, I did put a little bit of size on, but boy, I really miss running. And I'm like, let's do it. Then let's get back to it. So it wouldn't hurt to run an experiment on yourself to see what happens when I cut out all this extra activity. By the way, this is a similar situation that I was in my mid-20s when I was early 20s, when I was trying to put size on and playing basketball every day. And I love playing basketball. It was a passion of mine to play pickup games every day. I had a court in the gym that I worked, but I was struggling so bad. So I said, okay, I'm going to cut out basketball for a month. Doesn't mean I'm going to cut out basketball for the rest of my life. I just want to see. And I put 10 pounds on and it was like, oh, well, okay, well, there it is. I'm burning way more calories than I'm consuming. And that much activity is just too much for my goals currently. So I would encourage you just to do a 30-day experiment so you can see what that would potentially do to your body. And then you make the decision at the end of that, how much you like that and do you miss the running and then go from there.
I'll predict that you'll miss it. If you've been doing endurance this long and you enjoy doing it, I think it's not going to be a worthy trade.
Of course you will. I still miss basketball.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Alex. Here's another option. You're doing cycling and running. You said 3 days a week?
Yeah.
I would lift 2 days a week. Two full body workouts with that, I bet you'll gain muscle. You'll probably gain size from doing that. 3 days a week plus that is too much of everything. So I would cut the strength training down to 2 days a week full body, and you'll probably see size gains from that. And continue doing your cycling and your running.
Okay.
And keep the calories consistent.
Calories, yeah.
Yeah, and keep the calories consistent.
Alex, are you running one of our programs? What are you running right now?
No, just something that I've made up.
Oh shit!
Oh geez.
Okay, let's
Maps Anabolic.
Yeah, Maps Anabolic coming your way.
Yeah, Maps Anabolic. Two foundational workouts a week. That'll be perfect for you.
Okay, great. Appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thanks for calling in.
All right. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate the help.
You got it.
So I wanted to wait for him to hang up for me to argue with you because I don't want to keep going with him.
Yeah,
on it,
yeah.
But like, really, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
I
recommendation.
think
at the bare minimum,
if he keeps his cardio, if he keeps his running and cycling the same, 3 to 4 days a week of lifting plus 3 days a week of running and cycling is just too much of everything.
Well, yeah,
Unless he
I don't disagree with that.
That's what I meant.
But the recommendation of scale the lifting down
if he keeps the running and cycling, that was the context.
Yeah, but but you just kind of told the guy what he naturally would gravitate. That'd be like telling me, the basketball kid, like, hey, keep your basketball going that way, but just drop your strength training and let's see what happens.
Well,
like,
I mean,
I'm not going to build any muscle.
Remember, that's after I said you're probably going to miss it.
Yeah, but he didn't hear that, bro. He's like,
well, he'll hear it now.
I feel like this is a perfect example of when people are kind of teetering back and forth between two things they really want, right?
Yeah.
And for most of his life, it sounds like he's been this ultimate. What would 30 days of like cutting it out for a while just to show this guy this experiment of what that potentially?
No,
would be.
I see what you're doing. I 100% see what you're doing.
Like if he was my client, that's what we're doing.
Well,
like,
yeah, because it's more 100%. Look, here's the deal. When we communicate to people on the show, there's two elements to it. One of it is this is like a client. The other one is there's other people listening. When you're working with a client, the most effective thing you can do, which is what you did, is have the person reveal it to themselves.
Yes.
Because if you say it, it's true or false. If they say it, it's true.
Right.
So yes. Now, the reason why I said what I said was because he's not my client. I don't get to talk to him again. And so if he reaches that point and he's like, I miss it, but I still want to build some muscle, then it's okay. Keep doing what you're doing, but scale down the strength training down from 3 to 4 days a week down to 2, and you'll still build a little muscle, doing that. But, in terms of the strength gains without the muscle following, you can gain, especially as a beginner, you're going to gain strength quite rapidly before you see any size.
Yeah.
That's quite common.
I also don't know if just dropping 1 day of weight training is going to be the thing. I mean, that's such a minimal amount of calorie expenditure. So what you're going to do in calorie wise is going to be so minimal. I think one of his number one problems right now, aside from doing too much totally, which I think we're all in agreement in, is that he's doing a lot of cardio activity.
Yeah,
still.
it's not for the calories. That's not why I said that. It's just too much work. He's just training too much.
I know, but my point is, if he's still burning that many calories because you didn't tell him to reduce some of that, he's still not going to go anywhere.
Well, there's still a mixed signal, and the signal is so loud from years and years of the same thing.
Yeah.
So you haven't really like reset the programming there yet.
Yeah, look, when I've trained some pretty hardcore endurance athletes towards the end of my career, a couple Ironman athletes and triathletes, and they gained muscle with 1 day a week of strength training. I had to scale it. Now, this was, of course, they didn't cut down their other training.
Yeah.
So the whole point was, if you don't cut the cardio, then you can't do a lot of strength training if you want to build muscle. 3 to 4 days a week of strength training for the average person who doesn't do running and cycling.
I don't disagree with.
You're under the assumption he's just going to keep piling on the cardio. Right? That would make sense in that scenario.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I don't disagree with that. I agree with that. We're on the same page with that. I think we just set this guy off on a path of in the next 30 days he ain't going to see shit.
Yeah.
That's
well, I mean, he'll listen to hopefully this.
It's all about his priorities. You know, whatever. So he can go in both directions, but whichever one he chooses, like if you really want to gain that muscle, you gotta, really have a halt, stop, and like reprogram what you're doing.
I mean, and I know part of like the dance that you're trying to do right now too, because it does come off hearing me go like, cut out your running and do that. I know there's people that like freak out, like that's such terrible advice. It's so healthy. Like I'm not. If it's for
but if you're training for ultra marathon, you wouldn't be like loading all the calories and like just purely like focus on anaerobic training.
Right. And
that'd be ridiculous.
And what Sal said is exactly right. I want to reveal to him.
That's right.
I want and
you want him to see it for himself.
That's right.
Otherwise, it doesn't work.
And 30 days, by the way, if you're a hardcore marathon person, taking 30 days off of that is probably going to be healthy for you. So it's not healthy. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't.
He probably gained size just from taking time off.
That's what that's why I want him to like. To me, I was like that person. Just like all I did different. I wasn't even programming well back then. When I remember my early 20s, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was lifting like crazy.
You just cut out the basketball.
I just cut out the basketball, put on 10 pounds of muscle. Like literally, it felt like overnight. And so to me, it's like and then going forward, I didn't stop playing basketball forever, but it really opened my eyes of like, okay, there's definitely too much.
There's a trade-off.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a trade-off. And so how do I still incorporate what I love, but then recognize too that I can easily let that get away. Cause just like I'm sure this who does this, I can get lost in playing basketball and go, I'm gonna go play one game for 30 minutes and then I'm there for 3 hours because I love it.
Which is miscalculated.
Yeah, easily. Which is what someone like this does. If you love that endurance type of sports, like he probably goes, I'm gonna go for a little light jog 4 hours later.
Or hard,
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, no, it's working with clients, and for at risk of sounding, condescending. It's a lot like raising kids in the sense that like you could tell your kid to wear a jacket because it's cold.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as effective as your kid not wanting to wear a jacket. You go outside.
That's just human psychology.
And they're like, oh my God, it's cold. I need to wear this jacket. So, what you were doing was essentially that. It's like, here, try it for 30 days. And then the answer will reveal itself to you. I'm just, I also, now I'm aware you said that. So I'm trying to communicate to the audience at large at the same point. But if you were my client, I would have said exactly what you said. So.